Welcome back to this special edition of News in Focus. So you've seen we've changed the settings. We've come to an iconic stadium, not just in South Africa, but in the cricketing world. Of course, the Wanderers Stadium, everyone knows, 4:38, South Africa versus Australia. Australia were crowned the Cricket World Cup winners here in 2003. And of course, in 2 years' time, the World Cup will be hosted here in South Africa, and this will be the venue for the final. But today, we are honoring the great man himself, Nelson Mandela. And joining me for this part of the special broadcast, I'd like to welcome Ashraful Aid, who of course is with us at Hilaal TV. And I'm going to start off with the Chief Operating Officer of this organization, Yusuf Nabee. Yusuf, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah so much for allowing us the opportunity here.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. No, Jazakallah for coming and covering this event for us.
Yeah, no, it's an absolute pleasure. So let's start, Yusuf, with regards to, and we're just going to ask you to come a little bit in here. The organization of this, of course, Ashraful Aid. You guys are very close with the Lions cricket team and obviously Wanderers Stadium. Organizing this for Mandela, they talked to us how it came about.
Yeah, so this event is actually in its fifth year this year. And this event actually came about 5 years ago through a very common goal between Ashraful Aid and Lions Cricket to actually bring people together during COVID time. And actually, it's interesting because during COVID, we needed open spaces. And we said, what's better than to be able to create a secure open space than coming to a stadium? And that's where this event kind of started. And I mean, 5 years later, this is by far the biggest one we've done. I think in the first year, we had less than 100 volunteers, maybe. This year, we well over 1,000. And I think it's testimony to everybody wanting to feed to a common good, putting this together obviously requires a lot of work. I must credit the team. I haven't done much on this year's event, but the logistics of it, Ashraful Aid handles in terms of organizing the passes, getting everything together, organizing for the volunteers. This is 6 months in the making, really.
So it's quite a long time that you guys have actually prepared this.
Yeah. So, I mean, we start planning very early in the year to get everybody on board, also to work with the partners, making sure everybody's aligned. And then the logistics of the work starts getting planned, a couple months in advance. As you can imagine, moving 5,000 parcels, getting goods here, making the organization, getting all the permissions required, bringing all the partners on board. There's a lot of background work that goes into it. But alhamdulillah, the event itself is very much about the volunteers and about actually bringing people together to give their 667 minutes in the spirit of Madiba to give back to our fellow South Africans. And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, how do you envisage the spirit of Nelson Mandela? I mean, what the man did for the country, obviously with the collective with so many freedom fighters and activists. How do you as Yusuf Nabee give to try and have that spirit of Nelson Mandela?
I mean, I think for me, I always hold the view that what Nelson Mandela embodies for me is the spirit of humanity. And with Ashraful Aid, our slogan is with humanity for humanity. And that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, no matter what is going on in the world, if we are just kind to each other and fellow, if we have fellow humanity between us, we'll be able to actually get through a lot. So for me, that's what that spirit embodies for me. And I think South Africans, we show up, when we need to actually pull together to be able to help our fellow countrymen. South Africans show up, and we've seen it here today. I mean, we've got all people from all walks of life. We've got school kids, we've got corporates, we've got CEOs, we've got sports players. We've got everybody here pulling together for a common good. And nobody here today is benefiting from this directly. This is going to other people who will benefit from the work that's been done today. And for me, that's really encapsulating the spirit of humanity.
And this is what makes us South African, isn't it? This ability to assist people, to help people, to make sure that we allow the less vulnerable to go ahead and have that ability to get things that a lot of privileged people won't. And this is what, of course, Ashraful Aid wants to do. And what better day than Mandela Day itself?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, Ashraful Aid, we go out every day. We're in communities every day. We are seeing the good and the bad of the country every day. And, despite the fact that we have challenges in the country, we know that. But if we work together, we can work together to solve them. And there are many people in our country who need assistance, and there are many people who have the ability to be able to provide that assistance. And bringing those two together is what Ashraful Aid is all about. And events like these just remind us that actually, when it all comes down to it, the spirit of Ubuntu, the spirit of South Africans, of reconciliation, of being able to work together, to put aside our differences, that's what comes together in times like these. And I think we can always count on South Africans to do that when it really matters.
What does Nelson Mandela Day mean for Yusuf Nabee?
I mean, for me, I've been working at Ashraful Aid for 5 years, but I've got a long corporate career, and I know how easy it is to get lost in yourself and your pursuit of success. And it's very easy to start forgetting about what really matters, And I think for me, Mandela Day is about grounding. It grounds us. It reminds us that actually we are in this together. It reminds us actually not to forget where we come from, and that actually all the success in the world doesn't matter if your fellow neighbor is suffering. And it really keeps me humble and grounded. And that's why I make a concerted effort to be part of these events. It's part of why I am working with Ashraful Aid. And I know that everybody doesn't get that opportunity. People have to hold on jobs. There's a lot of things to do. Everybody's got their own puts, but every little bit counts. If you do 1 minute, 1 second of your time, it's the willingness to give off for other people. I think that's what Mandela Day helps us to remind us about that every single year.
Of course, we are Muslims, and it's in our nature to give. As a Muslim, as Nelson Mandela Day, he was very close to the Muslim community. How proud are you not to just be a South African, but a Muslim in a country that we are, that allows us to have these opportunities to give back to communities?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, we cannot take it for granted. And I think as a Muslim, this is in our DNA, it's in our foundations, the foundation of our faith to be able to give. I mean, the basis of charity, of the charitable organizations, and I'm of the view that Muslim organizations tend to be successful at this type of work because it's built into the heart of how we handle zakat. It's built into the heart of how we handle sadaqah, and the systems and the structures are there. And as a Muslim, I mean, I've traveled the world both as a corporate person and as a volunteer, in terms of Syria and various other places. And I think the spirit of giving off to other people is built into our faith. And as a Muslim, I'm very proud of that because we can always count on the Muslim community to be there and to give off very generously, because the rewards don't come from this. The rewards come from Allah always,
Yusuf, one final question. What is your favorite memory of Nelson Mandela? You've said you've had a very long career in corporate, so you must have a memory of the man. He's given us so many great moments. But for you, Yusuf Nabee, what would be the one memory that stands out for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a weird thing, but when I think of Mandela, I just think of the first time I actually saw him in person.
You saw him in person.
And I used to work at the SABC for a long time, and I remember the first time, and I was very young at the time, and he walked into the SABC to do an interview. And I don't know what caught me by so much surprise as to the personality that he was, that he filled a space. He commanded attention, and there was a humility in him. And I it's nothing spectacular, but just that, because you look at a person and you think of all the great that he's done, but at the end of the day, I just saw a man who did so much for our country, and at the end of the day, still was so humble. And that's the memory that always stays with me.
One final question. What would be your advice to South Africans out there to maintain this day, Mandela Day, for the rest of the 364 days?
I mean, I think acts of charity come in many different ways. In Islam, we say even a smile is charity. So I think we need to be conscious of it every day and give just a little bit every single day. Yes, events like these are great and they remind us of these things, and these are big events, but it's the little bit that everybody does every day that makes a huge difference. And that for me is it. Every small bit counts. I remember in my first early days of Ashraful Aid, and we were raising some funds, and I remember somebody said to me, we got all these big events, we got all these big donors, etc., but don't forget about the people who can just give a little bit, and the people who make dua for it also, and the charity comes from other places. So I think just a reminder that in the rat race that we're in every single day, that there's always space for just a little bit of charity.
Yusuf, absolute pleasure having you. Shukran so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah so much. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, do stay tuned because we're going to have one more interview with somebody from Ashraful Aid to wrap up this Mandela Day. Do stay tuned.